Yeah.
I'm guessing we're not gonna have a whole lot of people in the crowd tonight. Who's coming down?
Only the important people
Oh, yes.
were coming out tonight in the storm.
A lot of people in the crowd, and then you came in like a beacon of joy. Oh my gosh. I feel so special. You are.
Doing,
I was worried that it was gonna be really snowy and.
I don't know, when I drove in around 6:15, it was coming down pretty good. I was,
It's doing nothing now.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's more what I expected. I was watching the Channel 5 news starting at like 4 o'clock, and they have this special weather vehicle that they send out during the snowstorms to take photos, and one of the weather people is always sitting in the front passenger seat. So they go on, and it was Kellyanne Chicalise, and they were out in Springfield. They just got off Route 90 onto Route 291, and there's no snow. Nothing's coming down. So they turned around and started coming back east. There's still no snow. And it's like, yeah, don't you feel stupid? So I think finally they got to Worcester and they saw a flake. So, yeah, it was bizarre.
They should pull into a supermarket and see the crowds buying bread and milk.
Oh my goodness gracious. I always joke that I would love to be a weatherman. It's the only job you can be wrong every day and still have a job. You can be so vague. It may, we have a chance. There's a chance of rain.
Yeah, yeah, every day.
Every day, every day.
It's a dusting to 3 feet, we're not sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just give broad,
Bases are covered,
categorical.
yeah.
Well, they're better
It's just a
than they
green
used to be,
screen.
but,
Actually,
I mean, the other
remember
day when they were talking about
If you're gonna speak.
Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, February 10th, 2026 meeting of the Ashland Zoning Board of Appeals held at the Ashland Town Hall on the second floor in the Select Board hearing room. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast live by WACA-TV and live streamed on Facebook. Remote participation is available using the Zoom video conferencing platform for convenience only. Any disruption with the video conferencing platform will result in the platform being shut down. However, the meeting will continue, and meetings will continue to be broadcast on WACA-TV and live streamed on Facebook. The posted agenda contains a link to participate remotely via Zoom and also a telephone number that allows you to call in. In addition to the meeting being recorded by WACA, I now ask if anybody here on Zoom is also recording the meeting. If you are, please so indicate, just so that we can have that for the record. See nobody raising their hands, then I will take that as a no. First item on the agenda is calling the meeting to order. I, John Trefethen, am present.
Hi, Brian Forrestone, present.
Hi, Ryan Sullivan, I'm present via Zoom.
I'm Alex Mironos, present.
Okay, one of our members, Stuart Siegel, who is the third sitting member on this hearing, is not here. However, he will be able to make up the meeting. He has not missed a meeting previously, so with the Mellon rule, he can make that up. That being said, we go on to item number 2 in the agenda, which is the continuance of the public hearing for 55 West Union Street, a 40B comprehensive permit. The hearing opened on August 26th of 2025, and we last met on January 27th, 2026. Before I go any further, I would also announce that Jasmine Farinacci, our Director of Planning and Economic Development, is present, as is Brian Winter, Town Council. And I would also like to welcome our newest associate member, Alex Mironovis. He was sworn in yesterday. So Alex, welcome. Okay, let's open the hearing. I see via Zoom that the applicant's representative, Lynn Sweet, is present. Good evening, Ms. Sweet. Nice to see you again.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Happy to be here. We're a little bit nervous about the snow, so apologize for not being there in person today.
Well, we'll make do, put it that way. We'll make do. Before we get into some of the items that we're going to get into tonight, I just wanted to touch base at the outset with something that we talked about at the last meeting concerning the flow meters that were installed and where that stands. Our minutes indicate that you were going to confirm at tonight's meeting how much additional time you thought you would need to have the flow meters go through the 4 weeks with the CCTV cameras and then review findings, et cetera, and draft a report. So I just wanted to get a brief update on that if we could. I know the weather has probably not been conducive for doing a lot of that work.
Yeah, Lynn Sweet, LDS Consulting Group for the applicant. The meters are in and running, but we need snow melt and warmer weather so that they can do the CCT work. And it sounds like finally next week, the temperature is going to be above 30 degrees. So we're hoping that we can get in and do the camera work. But the 1 month of meters is just about up. So my suggestion would be, that we should probably regroup at the end of the meeting and see whether or not we want to do an interim meeting, in 2 weeks But you're specifically asking how long an extension to the 180-day hearing period we're looking for, and I would say let's start with a month now. I just wanted to refresh my memory as to
Sure.
what the hearing date and
Our next scheduled hearing would be February 24th, which is 2 days after the
so it is-
180-day deadline.
Okay, so
Then we
let's
have
do-
March 10th, and we have March 24th.
Okay, so we started the hearing on August 26th.
Mhm.
Okay, so somewhere around February 24th or so. So I would say
Okay,
that we should do an extension through March 24th or so.
That was
does
exactly
that-
what I had in mind, frankly, because
Okay.
it's just about a month beyond the 180-day period.
Does Jasmine want to send me something to sign, or do you want us to get you something?
If you could please send through the chair, if you may please send a memo, just requesting an extension to that date, that would be fantastic, please.
Yeah, we will send a memo granting an extension, and happy to do that following the meeting. Perfect. All right, we accomplished one thing. Woohoo! No, that's great. And I'm hoping to have some good news from Sean Slowey in the next week or two on, if we really do get those 40-degree days that we've been promised.
Excellent. Okay, at the last meeting, we sort of concluded with our architectural peer reviewer making her presentation, and you had asked for, obviously, the opportunity to have your architect present the design, her design and the plans. So would this be a convenient time for her to do that?
Yeah, so it's up to you. I think there were three things that we were hoping to cover tonight. One was the conversations that we've had with the neighbor that has resulted in a little bit of tweaks to the landscape plans and the civil plans. The next is with regard to architectural. There's been a little bit of back and forth on that. And then the result of those things was an update to the waiver list. So wondering whether or not we could go through why there have been some changes to that, mostly deletions and not additions, but why some of the landscape plans and landscape matters and stuff have stayed in. And they're kind of like all interrelated. So very happy to ask Talia to show her current plans and the changes and why she made them. And we can go from there if that is your will.
Why don't we do that? I think that would be of most interest to the board. So why don't we do that?
Okay, thank you. For the record, my name is Talia Canistro with Studio Can Architects. I am going to share my screen. So can you see this PDF here?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so I won't go through everything again in detail because Amy did cover the majority of the project in the last hearing. But we did have a further conversation with her, and there are a few other comments that came through that discussion. We were requested to update the 3D views to better align with the landscape plan and grading. So to start, we have this cover image here. This is our entry drive that slopes down and under the covered canopy. And then this is where the main entrance is to the lobby. There would be small plantings. I won't get into too much detail because we do have Mike here for landscape architecture if needed. But there would be small plantings along the entry drive. And then there's a seating area along this area here for gatherings, waiting for car shares, or just generally enjoying the outdoors. So there are some outdoor amenities within this entry plaza that we've created. Additionally, in the other views, we reviewed the landscape plans again, updated the small plantings and the tree location. So this is accurate to that plan. And then also confirmed the grading. So where you're standing on the street, you'd be able to really just see the top of the surface of that parking level for the slope that it's at. So we adjusted that. And then these views have also been updated with the building changes that we've made. The second request that we had was to update this material image to really accentuate or call out the window shrouds that we have. There are jam extensions at the windows. We wanted to create depth on the facade and create shadow lines so that the building breaks down further beyond just the balconies. And that really helps kind of create that texture effect and carry that across the facade. Another discussion that we had was where this brick line changes from brick to the siding on the residential floors. So we've raised that up to align with the bottom of the windows on that first floor. It just gives it a nice clean edge and gives some distinction to the mass of the residential floors with the base floor. And lastly, adding some glazing to the amenity space. This area here, I can zoom in if that's helpful. This area here is where the fitness area is within the amenity space. It allows some natural light into that area and then also helps break down the wall. And lastly, sorry, I might have just said lastly, but this is actually lastly. There was a small area here that had a bit of solid wall. It's an egress stair and the trash chute area. We were asked to study that area, potentially change the siding to look and feel more like one of these breaks, but due to the clearances on the interior, we couldn't quite break it the way that would be necessary for that. So we've added some windows at the stair landings and a dormer at the top floor to help reduce the length of the solid wall in that area. So we think that it helps create continuity with the patterning and hopefully achieves that goal. So those were the last discussions. Amy, please correct me if I'm wrong, but those were the changes that we've made to this plan set.
That's what we discussed. Yeah, those were the changes we discussed, and kind of like if I could just give some context why we had suggested those things if people want to hear them, or
Would you just please identify yourself for the record, just so that the video and audio are going to know who you are?
Sure. My name is Amy Lotzvakoko. I'm with Studio DSK, an architect, and actually, Talia, if you don't mind sharing your screen, I could just want to like raising the sill condition of the masonry brick at that lower level. One of the ideas there, as Talia said, was it had been down at the elevation level 1, actually a little bit below that. And what we were talking about was raising that up to take those 3 stories and make that a little bit smaller, make that zone not as uniform, like one material. So what, and also with those the jam extensions and providing shadow on the facade, again bringing that to human scale, breaking the facade up to give it a little more architectural detail. And then, do you mind going to that elevation again? Your 4 elevations, please.
Yep. Oops, sorry. Yep.
And on the lower part of the sheet, exterior elevation north, one of the things, so there's like a knuckle in the building where the building goes from kind of 4.5 stories to 4 stories, and also where it turns in plan, kind of at that spot that Talia just drew and where that stair is. And so that had previously been, didn't have any fenestration on it above that door, that egress stair. And so we were talking about could that have a change in material, and and so with the fenestration, I think this is an improvement with adding windows there, and perhaps in construction documents, if that can continue to be studied, and it might just like those gray recessed areas help break down the mass of the building and make it feel like separate buildings, that knuckle is a great opportunity to once again break down the mass of the building, and just as you're doing as you're working through these drawings, having that shift in material and detailing is going to help break that down. And I think the fenestration is absolutely going in the right direction.
Okay, thank you. Now, I understand you and Talia had a working session last week. Have you had an opportunity to write a supplemental report with respect to your findings, or where
I
does that-
I am writing it right now, Mr. Chairman. And then these updated drawings came in today. And so what I thought would make sense is for the updated report to reflect these revisions. So
that's
if
fine.
that's agreeable with the board, I'm just, it's a work in progress.
I think that would be fine. Let me ask my fellow board members if they have any questions of either you or Talia. Brian, any questions?
I don't have any questions at this time, thank you.
Okay. And Ryan, any questions?
I'd like to reserve until we get the supplement at this point. Thank you.
Okay. And Alex, any questions?
No questions at this time.
Okay. I have just one question. With respect to the balconies, what are the dimensions of the balconies?
Currently, they project 5 feet out, and they're about 8 or 9 feet wide.
Okay, thank you.
I think 3 units have Juliet balconies kind of above the entrance. I think you didn't want to, was that it? That you didn't want balconies going out over the entrance drive?
Yes, so right here, there are Juliets, mostly because of clearance for underneath here, if it pulled up, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, if there's nothing further from anybody on the board with respect to the architecture, why don't we move on?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I do want to point out that we appreciate the feedback and the back and forth. We know that, you know, always makes for better project, but some of the changes we normally honestly would not make until we were getting to construction on this. We felt it was important to address them, but we have made a lot of changes up until this point. So we're hoping if there are any other requests going forward, that they can take the form of a condition and be dealt with down the road. But let's just see what the next set of comments, you know, are. The next item that we wanted
Want to
to
go to
run.
landscaping?
Well,
Or you?
Yeah, I mean,
You tell me where you want to go.
Yeah, we do have Michael and D'Angelo here, who's with MDA, our landscape architect, as well as Vito Colonna, who is with Cornerstone. And I'm going to leave it up to them as to whether we want to start with the site plan or the landscape plan, because as you know, they're really interconnected.
Yeah, I was thinking Vito Colonna with Cornerstone Engineering. I was thinking we could start with the site plan, because that kind of drove a lot of the changes that went into the landscape plan. I'll just share my screen quickly. Oh, I just need to be allowed to share.
Yeah, and before he gets started, you know, I just want to let you know that there were, since the last meeting, the owner has met with the neighbors twice. Once before our first set of documents, and then again earlier, you know, after. And so the documents that came out yesterday or today, I'm losing track of time, were the result of that second conversation. impact our waivers in the sense that we need to ask for a waiver because it's the desire of the neighbor to not have landscaping on their side of the fence. So Vito,
Yep.
leave it up to you.
Okay. As Lynn said, this was really driven by discussions with the neighbor, the abutter, right on this property, right down in here, and just kind of addressing some of their concerns. And a lot of them come down to this lower area. They have an existing curb cut right down in here. Their existing driveway comes up, and then they also have this retaining wall. It sort of encroaches over the property line. So we're looking for a way to integrate that retaining wall into the project and also maintain their driveway access, their curb cut. So really is to try to not impact them with the project. So previously we had a riprap slope running down this edge to make up that grading. So we ended up replacing that with a new retaining wall. So that new retaining wall is shown in the bold black line, kind of running that whole edge. And that would tie into that existing retaining wall on the abutter's property. So really connect the two together. And then this wall would step up a little bit and run essentially level with the property next door. It would be approximately a foot below that elevation. And that would really allow us to have a level area above the wall to put a new fence. That was one of the requests of the abutter, having a 6-foot privacy fence right against the property line to give some privacy. So that would give space for that, and it would also give space for some landscaping above that retaining wall. And we also extended that fence all the way down to about near the intersection. We held it back a little bit just to maintain sight distance. So we breathe that privacy fence right at the line, and then we go right up the property line, hook the corner, and go all the way down. So that was some of their requests, was really to encompass all of their property lines with that fence, just to give them that privacy between the two properties. And then they also had some concern with snow storage. So that was also a double effect of that fence. It gives them some security that snow plowing wouldn't push excess snow or piles into their property, just because that fence would be there and the owner wouldn't want to damage their new fence that they just installed in that location. And that really kind of drove those changes. And then with that, Mike was able to modify the landscape plan to match. One thing that we wanted to note, though, was, as Lynn was saying, typically under the bylaw, we have to put landscaping on the abutter side of the fence. And we had initially showed that. We had the fence set back, I think it was 4 feet, and we had a row of landscaping on their side. They specifically requested that we could flip that just so that they wouldn't be responsible for maintenance or anything like that. It would give them a little bit more privacy because the fence would be in a little higher position and right against the property line. So it would be a waiver, but it was something that I think would benefit the abutter, and it was something they requested. And I guess I could hand it back if Mike, if you feel like going over any of the specifics to landscaping, I can let you jump in on that.
Sure, I could share my screen briefly. My name is Mike D'Angelo. I'm a landscape architect with MDLA. Do you guys see my screen? Yep.
Yep.
So I'm not sure how familiar you are with this. Very brief overview. We have street trees at 30 feet on center along the edges of the property and along West Union Street, Memorial Drive. As Talia mentioned, as you enter the property, there is planting all around and a small patio area at the covered entry porte cochere area. All on the parking, we meet the bylaws intent of having a planting along the edges. We have planting in the islands. As Vito mentioned, we do have that red line is the fence that he was talking about. And you can see in this zone, we have the wall, and then on top of the wall, we have the planting. So it's, as Vito was saying, was flipped from what the bylaw asks. Otherwise, as you work your way around the property, again, we have the planting per the bylaw, trees at roughly 30 feet on center, trees in the islands, small dog relief area over here that residents could use, away from the building, and screened from the road with some evergreen trees. And the other thing our firm was responsible for was the lighting. So we do have full photometric plans in the set that was submitted. And just a really high level review of that is we are, full cut off at the property lines, no light spill over the property lines, dark sky compliant lights. You can see we're staying within the boundaries of the property line and making sure there's no glare. And yeah, it's a fairly straightforward plan, but it's important just to show that we meet in compliance and we have enough light coverage. And that's all I have for you. Let me know if you have any questions.
So I'm just going to add a couple more things in there. All of the trees that you're putting in are more than 2 caliber.
Everything is 2.5 to 3 inch caliper for the trees. All the trees and shrubs are native. The perennials are kind of a mixed species, but all the trees and shrubs are native.
So, I'm just going to ask Vito, can you just bring up the sketch of where we're going to put the sign as well, if you don't mind? In going through the waivers today, since we haven't looked at them in 6 months, I just wanted to make sure we had everything that we needed in front of you, and we realized we had not put a location for a sign on the site plan. It will be, a standard small stone kind of monument at the main entrance to the property. It will, there we go. We didn't want to give you a whole brand new plan set just because we put a sign on it. But we wanted to let you know that we thought about it. Since we're in a commercial district, what we're putting in is well below what the bylaw requires. So certainly when they get to construction, they'll have a very nice detail of what the stone monument sign will look like. And we've been very careful to keep it out of the sightline triangle because we don't want our traffic engineer to get upset with us. But we do feel like it's important to put a nice sign at the entrance. The one matter that we were also not able to address, and we were really fortunate that both of our traffic engineers chimed in, was the neighbor had asked if we could put I think was it a right turn only out? Vito, I can't remember what it was. I think at the end
Yeah, it was a no right turn on red.
No right turn on red. Yep. And both our traffic engineer and the town's traffic engineer did chime in and said because there's a light, there's going to be natural breaks in the cars, and that would not, in their opinions, be beneficial. So we do feel like we tried our best to address 95% of the comments, that it's been a really productive conversation. With the back and forth and
with
happy to
respect,
answer questions. We're never going to satisfy every
let me
thing.
let me just say this with respect to that no right turn on red at Memorial Drive. It's my opinion that goes beyond the scope of our authority for this 40B project, so it's not a consideration for us in this proceeding. So.
I understood. We just wanted to let you know that we tried. We tried to look at everything. So with this, I'm not sure, whether or not I think I did include your civil peer reviewer in the updated civil and landscaping plans. I know they pretty much had been done, but I thought it was the right thing to do just in case they had any more comments on it. But we're happy to answer any questions that you have on this section before we move into waivers.
Well, let me do that then. Brian, do you have any questions for the engineer or the landscaper?
Yes. Do you have any street level views of what that fence looks like on the property line?
No, as far as like a section through it, no. we don't have anything.
It's a little tough from the plan view to tell the height difference and where the difference is, and I just wanted to see.
So down in here?
Exactly.
Yep, so right now, this elevation in the corner of the parking lot is about 6 inches lower than the driveway on the abutter's land. So it's relatively flat, right down in this area. They're essentially going to be, I don't know if you've driven by there, but essentially be the same elevation as that driveway is right there. And then just bisecting the two would be a 6-foot fence right down the middle.
And the neighbor asked for it to be a vinyl fence rather than wood, which is again something that the bylaw required.
Okay. And so where that retaining wall goes all the way down, what's the height difference between the properties there?
So right in here, it's about, down in this corner, it's about 9 feet, 9.5 feet. Right in there, and then it tapers up as you go up to the site. It just tapers up as you get into the site. Midpoint, we're about 5 feet right in here, and then you taper down to 0 at the end. So, yeah, because right now they have a wall, and then it's flat, and then it jumps up 4 feet with their own riprap here. So we're trying to match that existing grade through that location.
So your property at that point is 9 feet higher than theirs?
Lower. So we'll be lower. So it'll also have that benefit of where any cars that pull in on this, none of the headlights would shine onto the abutter because it'll be lower. You won't even see the car actually. So you'll be 9 feet lower plus a 6-foot fence on top of that.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Ryan, do you have any questions?
Just a question about the trees for the planting. Do we know what kind those are going to be? And I assume they'll be mature and transplanted in, correct?
Yeah, so the trees are 2.5 to 3 inch caliper, day one, which typically about 15 to 16 foot tall tree, but they're sold in caliper inches, and that's the bylaw states they need to be. And they're all native, so they're maples, eastern redbuds, dogwoods, honey locusts, black tupelo, white oaks, and Princeton American elm.
And the bylaw requires 2 or more, so we're actually exceeding that.
Excellent. And there'll be no lighting of the trees, correct, from underneath, or is that?
We are not calling to light any trees at this point. Our lighting is strictly focused on lighting the parking lots and keeping the pedestrian areas safe.
Thank you.
Alex, do you have any questions?
No questions for him.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for Mr. Colonna. Would it be possible to call up I guess that's probably going to be good enough, the site plan. We talked about the sign at the first entrance closest to West Union, but there's further up Memorial Drive, there's also an opening. Is there going to be any signage there?
It's my understanding that both intersections, according to our traffic engineer, have to be under stop sign. So I know that we're going to have, stop signs or lines on them. We hadn't planned on putting another sign down there. We certainly can put some wayfinding signs throughout, the property, at the street level. But, with the snow storage and the, in the wetlands down there, we didn't want to add another sign in. And we figured most of the traffic, I believe, from the traffic study is also going to be coming from West Union.
Okay. On the site plan, can you point out where the detention basin is?
Sure. Let me just zoom over. So it's down in this kind of end off the edge of the parking area.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm still troubled by the lack of recreational space on the property, and I understand, you know, the explanation as to why there isn't much, and the area, why, and the school, et cetera, that, and the rail the rail trail that's going to be in the area. But was there ever any consideration given to putting the detention basin underground and having the space above that be available for a recreation area?
We didn't consider as part of the site plan, just the cost, sorry. The cost would be substantially increased by having to do that underground storage in that location. And I think as Lynn has probably pointed out before, there is a lot of recreation nearby with the abutting properties.
Yeah, and with the Y going in across the street, the rail trail and the school down the street, and having the big sidewalk and the crosswalk, we felt that there was enough in the area. It is a relatively small project with 106, in 16 units, where, you need to get up to 200 to put in a pool and so on and so forth. We did feel adding balconies was important to bring light and air, into the buildings as well.
A question for Mr. Colonna. Would you be able to estimate the approximate cost of putting the detention basin underground?
I don't have anything offhand,
Okay.
but it would be substantially more than a surface basin. This is just earthwork essentially. And this one we have down here that's under the parking area is precast concrete structures. So to make up that same level of volume, it would take a fair number of those chambers to be able to put in.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions. Any further questions from the board members? Okay, if not, I guess we can move on. And thank you all very much.
All right. So we haven't gone through the waiver list yet. And it's up to you if that's something that you want me to, run through, whether you think it's, the appropriate
I'm not
time.
prepared to go through the waiver list tonight. We received your updated waiver list this afternoon, and to be perfectly honest with you, I haven't looked at it as yet because I was looking at some of the other plans and whatnot that were sent to us yesterday and earlier today, for which we thank you, but it does limit the amount of time we have for that. And I think perhaps the waiver list is something we can start digging into next, at the next meeting.
Understood. It was more because I had my, my landscape and my civil here, and some of the, and maybe I can just make this statement and we can move on. Some of the landscape requirements, we did leave the waivers in because we met portions of them, but not all of them. So we were trying to err on the side of caution, and that's really what we were focusing on, was the section 5.4 general landscape requirements. So I can certainly have team members back at the next meeting if you want to run through them, but I would say that well more than 50% of them are just procedural in nature. So I think that's all, unless there's anything else, on your plate, this evening that you think you want us to cover. And, again, apologize for the lateness. We're trying to kind of respond in real time, and make a substantial, forward movement on this for everyone's sake.
No need to apologize. We're all doing the best we can with the time we have to work with. So we're making progress, and that's what I consider important. Brian, I turn to you. Anything else tonight that we need to deal with that we think is ripe to deal with?
I think you covered everything on my list.
Okay.
So I don't have any outstandings for this evening.
Fellow board members, anything you want to cover that we haven't covered tonight before we perhaps continue the hearing until our next meeting?
I'm okay with what we covered tonight.
Ryan?
That's
how about-
mine.
Same, okay. Why don't we do this, and Alex, you're all set, I assume?
I'm all set.
Okay, thank you. Well, why don't we do this then? Why don't we continue the matter to our next meeting, which is scheduled to be February 24th at 7 PM? Is that a meeting you're going to be able to be at?
I cannot attend on the 24th. I have a previous commitment in another community. And just, not to be overly technical here, but we don't have the written extension agreement yet. Do you want, just as a placeholder, I'm not suggesting we'll need it, but do you want to continue it to a date next week for maybe a quick Zoom meeting, just in case you need it? Again, I'm not insinuating anything, just being overly cautious, which is my
Yeah,
job.
no. I'm gonna draft it as soon as we get off the phone.
It's up to the board. It's just that if we don't have an extension, then we need to close by the 22nd, and you have nothing scheduled between now and then.
Well, my thought is that, given Ms. Sweet's representation, that we trust her, and if we don't receive it by Monday, that we schedule a meeting next week.
Well, except this is a public hearing, so you have to
Continue
continue it to a date and
certain.
time certain, so
Okay.
we have to do that tonight before we adjourn. So that's the catch. I'm not saying we'll need that meeting, and you could probably do it by Zoom, 15-minute meeting, just to open and continue to the next substantive date, but it might just be wise to have it on the calendar, just in case.
Yeah, we should do that. I agree.
Okay, that makes sense then, I guess. How about next Tuesday, which would be the
17th.
17th
At 7 PM still?
at 7 PM?
Via
and
Zoom?
Assume it will be via Zoom, simply to continue it to the next meeting because we will have received the extension.
Right, and so it could be a 5-minute Zoom meeting.
Okay, that sounds fine.
And obviously, no one would need to attend except the board members, just to take that vote.
Okay. With that being said, is there a motion to oops, I have to allow for public comment for tonight. Is there anyone, there's only one person here in person, and she's not going to comment. Is there anyone via Zoom that wishes to comment? If so, please raise your hand, and Jasmine will allow you.
Not seeing any.
No one has raised their hand, so motion to close public comment.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Aye, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
Aye, Brian Forrest, all vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
I'm Alex Mirones, vote in favor.
Excellent. Okay, now we need a motion to continue the hearing to Tuesday, February 17th at 7 PM via Zoom. Does someone like to
So
make that
moved.
motion?
So moved, John.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Aye, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
Aye, Brian Forrest, all vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
I'm Alex Mirones, vote in favor.
Very good. Okay, this matter is continued then to Tuesday, the 17th at 7 PM via Zoom, and it's to basically meet to continue it as long as we've got the extension of time for the hearing. Okay,
Thank you,
thank
Mr.
you all
Chairman.
very much. I appreciate it. Ms. Sweet, thank you very much. Thank you to all the experts that came and participated in tonight's meeting. We appreciate it. Moving forward to the next item on our agenda, item number 3, which is approving the meeting minutes for our January 27th, 2026 meeting. The minutes were distributed from our Assistant Town Planner, Melissa, in the item she sent out last week. Jasmine, did you receive any proposed changes or corrections?
I did not.
Board members, anyone have any questions or proposed changes in the minutes as they were submitted?
I'm all set with it.
Ryan, all set?
None.
Okay.
No changes.
Then a motion to approve the minutes of the January 27th, 2026 meeting as submitted.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay, I, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
I, Brian Forrestall, vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
And Alex, you need to abstain because you weren't here.
Abstain.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Item number 4, staff updates and administrative matters. There had been a
She's still on.
member, not a member, excuse me, but a member of the public who had expressed an interest in joining the ZBA and is going to be present to discuss his interest in the matter, et cetera. Her.
Her interest.
I'm sorry,
just
I
got it
have,
right.
you know, it's Ms. Guram, and I apologize because I'm not able to pronounce your name correctly.
That's
So
okay,
I-
Mr. Chairman. I'm Kiran Guram.
I'm sorry, could you repeat your first name again?
Kiran Guram.
Kieran.
Welcome.
Thank
And
you.
again, I apologize. It's most
Oh, no.
embarrassing not to know how to pronounce someone's name.
Don't worry.
And I
Thank
didn't
you.
want to introduce you as Hey You, so there we go. Okay, well, thank you first of all very much for expressing interest in joining the ZBA. We have one new assistant member who joined us tonight, Alex, for his first meeting. He was sworn in yesterday, and there is one more position for an assistant member available. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest? The select board likes potential members to attend 1 or 2 meetings and see if the meeting is actually something that they want to participate in. And we hope so. We saw your talent bank form, which was most impressive. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest in the board.
Thank you all for having me here today. So myself, I'm Kiran Guram. I've been living in US since from 10 years. I used to work for an engineering company as a survey CAD tech. So I have interest of being in the field, especially being in the construction field. So since my background was in transportation engineering and I have my bachelor's in civil engineering, so my interest is always to be in some of the related field in construction. So when I see ZBA, it looks very, very close to my interest. So I would love to join and representing public. And I really want to see what are the things are happening in my town. We moved to Ashland last year, so it's a beautiful town. We really loved it. And now I'm very happy to see what are the things and development happening in Ashland. And so I'm here. I'm so happy to be in ZBA to see, further constructions, and I would like to follow up. And today I learned a lot from all the members. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Well, thank you for your interest. I must say, when we were arranging to, have you meet with us tonight, your email response to me and to Jasmine wanting to know where you could find all the documents for the hearing that we're involved in was most impressive. So we thank you for that. Brian, any questions?
I don't have any questions at this time. Thanks for your interest.
Ryan, any questions?
I do not, just appreciate the interest and the experience and background.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Alex, any questions?
No questions at the time.
I have no questions. Your background is obviously right on point for the issues that we deal with. And again, normally we have 2 meetings before we make a recommendation to the select board, but we have an assistant town manager here at the hearing, and I'm going to ask her whether it would be appropriate to waive the second meeting requirement and just make a recommendation to the select board to appoint her to the assistant member position. Fellow members, I'm going to take it upon myself to say, why don't we do that? Is that all right with everybody?
It's all right with me.
'Cause it
Same here.
it seems senseless to prolong this for another 2 meetings when we have such a stellar candidate. So that's what we're going to do. Within the next day or two, I will send an email to the town manager and select board, letting them know that you came tonight, we discussed it, and we heartily recommend that you be appointed by the select board. I know they met last Wednesday.
They meet the 18th, but I don't, it might be too close to get it. They could, okay.
Probably could get it on for, they don't meet tomorrow night, it's next Wednesday?
Correct, but they do agenda setting, so we'll just make sure John
Perfect.
knows to shoot them.
Okay, very good. So we'll do that and we'll get things moving quickly so that perhaps you'll be able to join us at our next meeting. Okay. Any questions or anything? No, but we're good. Jasmine, any further staff updates or administrator matters to talk about?
Not this evening.
That's the right answer, thank you. Then I guess a motion to adjourn would be in order unless anyone else has anything they want to discuss.
I move we adjourn.
And is there a second?
Seconded.
Aye, John DeFeather, vote in favor.
Aye, Brian Forrestall, vote in favor.
Hi, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
I, Alex Morales, vote in favor.
Thank you all very much. WACA, thank you.